We're here at Fusion Luxury Motors. We are first greeted by some remarkable classic examples. This here, the Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. These are the tribute cars. We filmed them last year, and you'll see an episode where we watched these cars being built. But we now have right in front of us 3 Ford Mustangs that are special edition Lecha cars. They only made 45, and I believe one of them is number 2 out of 45. Then we have a Tomaso Pantera and an AC Cobra custom built for a very tall client. Right now, there are some exotic classics here. Not sure if that word can be combined with classics, but believe me, there are some beautiful looking cars, and we're gonna check them all out. Gil.
Great to see you today, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Pretty good, pretty good. Some awesome classics.
Thank you. Thank you for visiting.
Yeah, man.
Having you out.
Well, let's start with the first car in front of us here. What is this?
Well, this is actually a pretty cool car, and you know, those that keep up with the show Overhauling might recognize it. This was actually from an episode called The Boss is Back, and this is when Ford re-released the Boss 302 engine. So this car was actually on Overhauling. It was designed by Chip Foose, and it's actually a local high school teacher that's actually a good friend. They stole his car. His students set him up. They stole his car, took it to Chip Foose in Overhauling, and they redid this beautiful Fastback, this 70 Fastback with the Boss 302 in it, and very, very cool. You know, all the modern goodies. You know, just a cool, great car.
Yeah, that looks nice actually. And this is all painted, so it's got all these stripes, the decals.
It's all painted,
so
and it's kind of got the famous Chip Foose orange pinstriping.
Yep, the
pinstriping.
pinstriping.
Been known for.
Yep.
But yeah, very cool car. It's finished in what's called Marina Blue, which happens to be the guy's wife's name of all things, and she was in on the prank, obviously.
And does he still own this car?
He does own this car, you know, but he's ready to move on, so we have it here offered for sale, and it's an incredible value. You certainly could never build a car like this for the type of money that we're asking.
So how much are you asking?
This car is actually offered at $80,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things that I actually didn't know about the show until this car came here is that after the build is done on the show, the car actually goes to a safety company to have everything checked and inspected to make sure that everything is good to go.
So the brakes work and everything, yeah, okay.
You know, because obviously on the show they build the car in a matter of 5 or 6 days or whatnot, and so then it goes out and it gets checked and everything is...
And then certified. Wow.
Very cool car.
And what's that next to it? Because that also looks quite mean.
Yeah, so this actually was born as a 70 Mach 1. It is a real Mach 1, and it's got some modern goodies, you know, in the form of, you know, upgraded disc brakes. It's actually got a Porsche interior setup with the seats. It's got a full independent rear, and it's got a 427 made it to a top loader 4-speed. So really a cool car. It was really designed a little bit more as a autocross canyon carver, if you will. So a lot of money invested in the suspension on this guy.
Wow. So the interior has Porsche seats.
Yeah,
I can open the door, yeah? Okay, so here we are. We've got Porsche seats, and we've got a bottle here. What is that bottle?
Fire extinguisher.
Okay, fire extinguisher. Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think these are 964 seats is what I was told.
Yeah,
I'm
with
not
the
100% sure about
inside all retrimmed.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed. So retrimmed to suit the old American muscle car look. That's a cool addition, actually.
Yeah.
To have Porsche
Very
seats.
well done, nice and
Yeah.
comfortable.
Don't really see that much.
Sat in a regular, you know, 70 Mach 1, the seats. You know.
No, I haven't had the privilege as yet. And let's check out that engine bay. Ah, yeah, 427 Cobra,
Yes,
Ford Racing.
427, Ingles fuel injection stacks. You can see the Detroit Speed front suspension. So again, just back to that desire to make this a well-handling car.
Interesting car. But what's even better, or caught my attention here, is this Corvette Stingray. Tell me about it.
So this is actually a pretty unique build. So it's got a full chassis on it, and what they did here is they took a C5 Corvette, you know, a late model Corvette, and used all the suspension and all the geometry from a late model Corvette, and then put the 64 body on top of it. It's also fuel injected. It's a really nice build, and I don't know if you noticed, you know, if you come over here and check this out, something kind of cute they did here in the on the passenger side. They put the speedo on the passenger side, and they give you little holes for your fingers to hold on, which is, you know,
it says, cool. Hold on there. That is so cool. So this isn't an original at all, just a body.
It is a real 64 Corvette. It is VIN entitled correctly as that.
So the chassis is actually
the chassis has actually been completely redone and looks like a late model. In fact, when we open in here, you'll be able to see the chassis. You'll be able to see a good shot of the chassis. Look down in there, you can see the whole tubular all the way down down here through the sides. You can see the tubular chassis on this. So it's got
all the way down there. So it's custom.
Yeah, it's all custom, and then the suspension, the A-arms, the geometry came from a late model C5 Corvette.
Okay, and it's got an MSD system.
There is fuel injected as well.
Yeah. Very interesting, and it's all chrome on the inside, so it's all been chromed out. It's got braided lines and wheel-wood brakes. Does it have?
It does.
Yeah.
Corvette enthusiasts will immediately recognize these wheels. I mean, anybody who's familiar with C5 Corvettes, late model Corvettes, these are the wheels that they came with. So those are very recognizable for any Corvette enthusiasts are going to recognize those.
Wow. And a car like this, how much is this?
This car is about $120,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not cheap at all.
It's not cheap, you know, but to me it falls under that category. You can't build it for the price that you would buy it for, right?
Yeah.
Somebody invested a lot more than $120,000.
Oh, clearly. And what about this? On its left, another Stingray, but roof off, and
yeah. So this is a C3 Corvette, right? So I mean, now we're in Corvette row here. So this is a C3 Corvette. You know, C3s have yet to really hit their stride in terms of valuations. They don't bring the type of money that a C1 or a C2 like the previous 64 we looked at. But this is a nice, well done, you know, quote unquote hot rodded Corvette. It's got some modern goodies on it. You know, pretty straightforward, but these models bring considerably less. This is about $50,000. So
okay.
There's a big difference in price for a C3 versus a C2.
Yeah. And we now got another Stingray just sitting here. And what is this one? Because this looks kind of cool.
Back just to another C2. So this is a 66 C2. I noticed you looked in the back there to see if it was a split window. It's not a split window. But this is, unlike the other Corvettes that we just looked at and the two Mustangs, this is a all numbers matching, fully restored to factory spec, 327.
So completely original. Corvette. Original matching number, engine and everything is 100% matching. Wow.
Restored back to, you know, original. This is the original color it was born in. It's called Merino red is the color on this car, which is a very unique and cool color combo.
And okay, as a price comparison, how much is this compared to something that's more of a resto mod, you could say?
So when it comes to C2s, there was a lot of different variations in engine combinations. This particular combination with the small block 327, they bring somewhere about $70,000.
Okay.
For fully restored, numbers matching, well done example. When you get into the big blocks, they'll bring a lot more. They'll bring into the six figures as well. Today's market, you know, today it seems that, you know, a lot of people are looking for some of the modern amenities that comes with a resto mod, if you will. But there's certainly still a market for these, and if you were to ask most guys, myself included, it's only a matter of time. It's cyclical before these original type restorations just shoot back up. They're
I appreciate original cars myself personally, because I believe original cars retain value a lot more. Classics in particular, especially American muscle cars like these, they're now skyrocketing. It was the turn of the Europeans back. We had the Porsches, the Ferraris, Lambos back in 2015 to 2017, slightly 18, but now in 19, I've noticed a lot of people have come to look at American cars, in particular these, the old Stingrays, the original C1, C2. They've pretty much.
I think the market focus has shifted to places like Europe, like Australia, because these are not cars that people had growing up, right? These weren't really available out there, if at all, in some cases. And so here in the U.S., you know, guys that are in their 40s and 50s and 60s, they grew up seeing these cars. You know, their dad had one, their grandpa had one, whatever the case may be. Where in, you know, in other parts of the world that isn't the case.
Yeah,
so
correct.
There's definitely a market for these, and you know, if anything, these are great. It's a great example of how vehicles have just grown and how the technology has changed over the years. And now we talk about the new C8 rear mid-engine type of setup versus what these were. But still very, very cool and still a blast to drive.
Yeah, they look it. I've never experienced one. I'd love to. What about this? So now we're back to a
another C3.
C3, but a 427.
Correct. So this is unlike the red one. So you're seeing that we have the two resto mods. We stacked the two resto mods together, and we've got the two original ones together. So this is a all original numbers matching 427 with a 4-speed, 69 Corvette. Again, this is what I would call a pretty mild restoration. This is not a nut and bolt rotisserie type of restoration.
More for freshen up.
Yeah, it's a fairly well kept car. Interior's been redone. Engine is very solid, and a car like this is going to go somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000. So it's a lot of car for the money, and kind of falls into that category of where's it going to go? It can only go up valuation wise. So again, a very, very cool car, fun to drive. You'd be surprised how many looks you get when you're driving a car like this.
Yeah. He still looks so awesome today.
Yeah, it's got that Mako, the Corvette
it does.
Had that Mako shark look, and you can really see that with the way these nostrils are up here, the side gills, very, very, very clear what they were going for with this design.
Yeah, correct. And it does look so muscular. And what about this, the Shelby? It says Shelby on the front.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty cool car, and for a number of different reasons I'll explain. This is a 1968 GT350, and one of the things that's kind of rare about it is it's actually an automatic, which you don't see too often in Shelby vehicles. So it is born with an automatic, and it actually was born a black car. It's a Raven Black GT350, which again is more on the rare side. The other thing that's really unique about this particular car, it's a documented 4-owner car with about a 3-inch thick binder with every single piece of document back to day one, every service record, every receipt, original retail sales contract, original window sticker, 2 original build sheets. A very, very
that alone will give it an extra 10-15 grand.
Correct.
Compared to an example without all the paperwork and documents.
If you're out there looking at classics, a car that has documentation, you don't need to necessarily shy away from a car that does not have documentation. But a car that has strong documentation,
you appreciate it more, you pay more.
There certainly is a premium for
that.
So
I agree.
This is a very well documented, real black 68 GT350. So it's a really cool car.
Yeah, it is a cool car. And these were stock standard back then?
Everything you see on the
car. So everything stock standard.
Correct, down to the fiberglass hood and the little cracks on the fiberglass.
Wow, so they actually had a fiberglass hood back then.
Yes, sir.
So what year was this built?
68.
68, and Ferrari didn't use fiberglass back then. That is so cool. And I like how you can see these little cracks here in the paint. That is remarkable. Would this, it's had a respray once in its lifetime, a little freshen up, you can tell, but it does still look like it's old paint, fairly old.
Right.
But
I would say this car was probably painted 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in that zone, and it's what I would consider a number 2 driver quality car in terms of its aesthetics. But mechanically, this particular car had about $40,000 worth of mechanicals done to it about 2 or 3 years ago, because it was bought. The gentleman who owned the car bought it for his wife and wanted to make sure mechanically everything was absolutely perfect.
Well, that's a
Took
cool
it to a Shelby
present.
specialist. He paid about $40,000, which of course we have the receipts for, and had the whole mechanicals redone on it. So the car drives impeccably well. Of course, at some point you can strip it down and redo the body and paint, and you'd really have a concourse level type of vehicle, especially with the documentation that it has.
Yeah. You've got to, guys, what you have to do is when you have a car like this with this much document, basically keep it. Hold on to every document you get from day one. Even if you buy a car today, hold on to the original paperwork. Why, you ask? Because it may be worth more in the future. It's not basically every car, it's special cars that people are going to fall in love with, but it's hard to actually predict that. But either way, I actually make sure I keep everything that I have from all my cars since day one. And if I don't have it, I go to the internet and I start searching. I read forums, I check eBay out, everything that I can. Sometimes even Gumtree, and you'll be surprised what you find on Gumtree. People just toss out their stuff. But now we've got a Chevelle. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. 67 Chevelle. It's a real SS 396. This is an all numbers matching, fully documented car. This color is kind of a unique color. It's called fawn.
Fawn?
Yeah.
Never heard that, yeah.
Yeah. And it looks a little bit different in different shades of light, but it's kind of got this
gold
look to it. Yeah,
silver, beige.
In fact,
hard to explain.
This car is complete with the original brochure on the Chevelle from 1967, and this is the brochure color. So a very, very, very cool car. It's got the classic black vinyl top, and just an awesome, time capsule.
So how much would this car be?
This car's about 85,000.
Okay,
Chevelle's,
and that car, the Shelby, just to compare the two?
So the Shelby, because of the documentation and discounting a bit for the fact that it needs a little bit of work on the outside, it's 100,000.
Okay.
This car, if the Shelby was fully done and completely restored, it'd be pushing 140, 150 as a real black car.
Wow.
So it's priced very, very well for what it is, understanding that there's a little bit of work that needs to be done to it.
Yeah.
This is I don't want to say it's a 1,000-point car because that's very hard to attain, but it's a very well sorted out car.
How much? It doesn't even look like it's been driven too much.
No,
what is
it
the
really
mileage?
hasn't. I don't recall the exact mileage. I'm gonna have to poke. I'm gonna have to cheat and poke inside and see what I see on the good old-fashioned pedometer.
Let's have a look at that interior. Look at that. That is old school luxury. I like this interior. I've never seen a car with this color interior before as well. It matches the paintwork.
And these were offered with a bench seat or buckets with the center console. So this has got the buckets with the center console, which is somewhat a desirable option. And the odometer is reading just a tad over 74,000 miles. And
okay,
that's
74,000 miles. Wow, that is
the
very original. It looks original compared to what it is.
Red line tires. It's a very, very well sorted out car.
That's old school luxury. And does that roof come off?
It does not.
Yeah, it looks like it does, doesn't it? Being a vinyl.
You a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a vinyl top. So this top here isn't painted. It's straight vinyl, and it looks like a roof that actually comes off, but it doesn't. Oh, look at that. The original brochure.
Yeah,
oh,
the original
God.
brochure. As you can see,
Wow.
it's finished in
Look
fawn.
at that. Now this is what you have to have with cars that you buy and collect. Seriously, because sometimes I've bought brochures off the internet, off eBay in particular, where I've had to pay $500 just to have them, just so I can match my car. Because if you're a fanatic, you want the scale model cars, the 118, the 112, the 110, you want all of them and every single book that they've made, even books that people have written themselves.
You can see even the
Color options back then.
Sierra Fawn, there it is.
Yeah, Sierra Fawn. Pretty cool.
And of course, you've got the 396, turbojet 396 with 325 horsepower. And I mean, again, 1967, 325 horsepower.
That's a lot of horsepower back
no
then.
Joke. Yeah, this was considered like the family car, right?
Yeah.
So, but still had plenty of pickup and go. Really a cool car.
Yeah, that is a cool car. And the red car that's right next door, the Camaro?
Well, now we're into the 80s, right? So I mean, so this is it's a IROC Z, and this is a pretty rare car. This is what's called a 1LE IROC Z, and you might recognize that as the new Camaros come in you can get them in a 1LE.
Yeah, 1LE. Yeah.
But in 1990, which is what this car is, this car, the 1LE option happened by accident. If that's even believable. And the way it happened is if you selected, when you ordered the car, if you selected the performance sway bars from the suspension, the performance sway bars, and elected to do without air conditioning, it automatically became a 1LE.
So you got lucky
very, very
today in 2019.
Correct. And you could not order a 1LE on its own. It had to be that combination by accident. And only 62 cars left the production line.
62. So what would the value be?
Well, this is a very inexpensive car considering the rarity. These cars go for about anywhere between $25,000 and $30,000. It's a very expensive car.
For $25,000 US, and actually have a collectible, and say that I've got a car they only made 65, and I've got one of them.
Correct.
That's kind of cool.
What makes it, a couple of things that make it unique. So again, it's radio delete, AC delete.
Yep.
Normal IROCs here would have fog lights. This has air inlets to the engine. So this is, when you look at today's, the GT350 and from Mustangs and the ZL1s and the 1LE Camaros, this is what it came from. This is how it started. But again, it happened by accident in the 90s.
Wow.
And this car has 39,000 original miles on it. So it's very,
That is low mileage. And then we've got this, what we call in Australia, a ute. So can you tell me about this ute?
I can tell you about this El Camino. I don't know what the ute is, but yeah, I can try. So this is a 66, and in most circles, the 66 is the most desirable of the utes or the El Camino. And in fact, if you actually notice, if you get the shot of both of these cars, you can actually see that the 66 El Camino is effectively, from the fenders forward, a Chevelle.
Yeah, it looks like a Chevelle.
Same lights, same grille. It's a very, very similar car because they were built, basically, this was designed to be a pickup truck, and they used the front end of the Chevelle. This particular car, by no stretch of the imagination, is a regular 66 Ute or El Camino. It is a complete resto mod. I'll pop the hood for you and kind of show you what we got going on. So
I see.
We have here a LS3 platform. This LS3 has been hot rodded. It's pushing just under 600 horsepower. So fuel injected.
Wow.
Of course, you got your aluminum radiator. You got your power brakes, air conditioning, power steering, all the modern goodies. As you can see, this car is sitting very, very low.
Yes.
It is on a full airbag system, so right now it's in its low stance, and once we started, we can lift it up so it's a little bit more drivable. But an excellent build. This car has about 200 miles on it since it was built. It was finished about 3 months ago.
So it's a fresh resto mod.
Fresh resto.
So cool. And 600 horsepower.
Just a tad under, but yes.
With nothing at the back, no weight at the back at all.
Back in the days, old timers will tell you that they would have to put sandbags in the back of El Camino just to keep keep the rear end tight, because this thing will just want to do a burnout and get real loose on you. So it wasn't uncommon to see old timers have sandbags in the back to keep this thing planted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And these wheels, by the way, are one-offs. At least I was told by the builder that they're one-offs, just as a disclaimer. And they were designed to be reminiscent of the salt flat racers.
Okay, yep.
If you're familiar with those, you can kind of see that look like the old salt flat racers.
And now, what about this black beauty here, right next to it?
Well, now we're talking. We're onto a Mopar here, and this particular Mopar, 68 Charger, 68 being the most desirable year, the only year with the round taillights. They only did that for 1 year for some reason, although it's such a cool design. Again, full-blown resto mod. I'm going to open the hood. I'm going to let it do it.
Do all the talking for itself.
Let it do its own thing.
Yeah, look at that. You take it from here.
What you've got here, you've got a Gen 3 Hemi. So you've got a 6.1 liter Hemi, which is what you would get in a brand new Charger, right? Or well, now they're 6.2s, but in the first generation Chargers and Challengers, they came with a 6.1 liter Hemi. So this is what you would have gotten brand new in one of those. And they made it a couple of Garrett twin turbos to it. So this thing is pushing just about 1,000 horsepower. 1,000
horsepower. Mm-hmm. What does it do quarter mile?
Well, I've never taken it out to the quarter mile, but I mean, I've driven the car, and I will tell you that what's really nice about it, because it's got a modern drivetrain, it's very docile and relatively mild when you're just cruising. And then, of course, when you put your foot in it, the turbos, spool up, and it just becomes an absolute beast. And
you're in another world.
Real blast to drive this.
So how much would this be? And the El Camino.
So this twin turbo Charger is going for about $130,000.
Yep.
This is a $250,000 build.
Wow.
Documented $250,000 build.
And in comparison, a 600 horsepower, how much is that?
This El Camino is going to go for about 90.
Okay, so not too far off.
They're not too far off, and a lot of it has to do with, the car market. There's trends and there's things that fire up. El Caminos, they're not as hot as Chargers right now.
Yeah.
They're very cool, and people who love El Caminos or Utes, and 66 is the most desirable year. but Chargers bring a little bit more. You know, even if the builds were completely identical, a Charger will bring just a little bit more.
I love how the Charger has hidden headlights, and it's just one big grille at the front there.
Right. And it is a
It's
big
just so,
car.
yeah, it's a big car, and it looks so good in black.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
a color that
and,
suits.
these two are lined up pretty close, and you can see it's considerably bigger than the El Camino.
Oh yeah, it is, it is.
It's a big car.
And if it's an original car, and you just took it back to originality, right, where it first came out and it was originally black, how much would that cost?
So I mean, a lot of it is going to depend on what drivetrain it had, right? Because they were available with a variety of different engines, right? They were available with 440s, and they were available with a 383. So if it was a real RT, which would have given it a 440, it'd be pretty close. It would be pretty close, yeah. And again, and that goes back right now to the market, you know, paying a premium for the resto mods, right? And again, and there's no right or wrong answer in that. You know, it just depends what you're into.
Yeah, if somebody's interested in a resto mod, or
Correct.
if they want an original. There's always people that want both. You know, there's some people, some people like to have an original at home, and then they want to have a modified one of the same particular car.
Right.
So I know, because I've done that before.
Right.
Some may say it might be silly, but I say, hey, you know.
It's completely two different driving experiences, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, you've got a 55 Bel Air over there, and you know, you drive an original 55 Bel Air, it drives a certain way, and then you get in a hot rodded or resto modded 55 Bel Air, and you know, it's going to drive like a modern.
Just a
resto
different
mod by
animal,
definition.
yeah. Like, with all these cars here, what would be your personal favorite?
Oh wow, that's a tough question, and probably the question I get asked the most often. You know, first of all, that's not a fair question. For all you guys watching, that is not a fair question. Lee couldn't answer that question either. That's not a fair question. If I had to pick one for the end of time,
Yeah.
oh boy, I'd probably get a '66 Fastback Mustang.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
You know, unfortunately, I don't have one in stock, but you know, I think the '66 Fastback is
Something about
it's
it.
small, it's nimble.
Yeah.
You know, once you got into 67, 68, 69, 70, they got much bigger. I love 66 Fastbacks. Ideally, a GT350, a 66 GT350 would be the holy grail for me.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one.
What color?
Well, I would do white with blue stripes.
Yes,
you know, I think
yes.
that's iconic.
It is
You know,
iconic.
and, you know,
I think that's where it all started, didn't it?
and when
The
you're
white
talking
with
about
blue
Carroll
stripes.
Shelby and you know the way that he designed and his involvement in Ford and et cetera, then white with blue stripes is just iconic and just jumps right at you. So that would probably be the one if I had to pick one. And I think all you guys out there watching, you should make Lee pick one car. If you had to keep one car for all of time, make him struggle with that car.
I'm struggling thinking about it right now. I just can't. Okay, now in the corner, you've got this AC Cobra. Tell me about this thing.
So, I mean, again, you know, and the timing couldn't be better. Of course, most of us by now have probably seen Ford versus Ferrari, and, you know, the 289 AC Cobra is all over that movie.
Yep.
This is a replica. This is not a real 65 AC Cobra. Obviously, the value of one of those would be on a whole different level.
Yeah.
This is a fiberglass replica that was, it's a backdraft. There's a handful of different companies that built these. This is a backdraft version, fiberglass body. And really what you're looking for when you're looking at these replicas is, you know, do you love the color scheme and what drivetrain did you choose? Because you can get it with a 302, you can get it with a 5-liter Coyote, or you can get it with the 427, which is what this bad boy has in itself. So, you know, very cool, very fast. You got your side exit exhaust pipes right underneath you. So very little conversing going on when you're driving this car.
Yeah, look at that.
So you've got a fuel-injected 427 small block. You know, the stickers, the decals on the hood say 480 horsepower, but I actually have a dyno sheet that shows well over 500 for this car.
Wow.
So this is the real deal. They're a ton of fun. And you know, again, you can go out there and you can hunt down an original one, and you're going to pay
Over $1 million.
$1 million, $1.5 million, if it, you know, depending on what it is, or you can step into one like this for about $80,000.
Yeah, because these cars, there's a few manufacturers in Australia, craftsmen that actually make these themselves. They make replicas, and I've seen them up online, and you see them at a few shows every now and then. And in Australia, yeah, they start selling them at about 100,000 AUD. But when we look at replicas or originals, sometimes you think to yourself, okay, you have a replica, it looks like the real deal at times, right? But you can customize the car whichever way you like and drive it however way you like, whether that be on the streets or on the track and doing some burnouts or even crashing it. If you had the real deal, $1 million plus car, you won't be doing that. So sometimes you got to show a bit of appreciation for replicas because people actually select the replica because it's more affordable and they can make it the way they want. They can have their own color scheme, their own options, their own engine. And if they want to put a supercharger or twin turbo, by all means do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, when we look at this interior with the diamond stitch and the carbon fiber, I mean, again, this is obviously something that an original would never have, and a nice sparkle steering wheel, just a cool car.
Oh, I like that Ford GT. I like that color.
GT, yeah.
What's that color?
So this GT is finished in what's called Quicksilver. It was only produced in 2005. So, this first generation Ford GTs were 2005, 2006. Quicksilver, only in 2005, and the lowest produced color of all the 0506 GTs. Only 154 cars finished in this combination.
Out of how many cars?
They built just over 4,000 cars total for the 2 years.
Hey, you know what I just realized? They made less Demons. Dodge made less Demons than they did Ford.
That's true.
GT.
And 1 production year versus 2 production years.
Yeah, correct.
This is actually a pretty cool car. It's a one-owner car, 600 miles, and those stickers you see on the windshield over there, those are the original production sequence numbers that the car rolled off the factory with. So this car was I don't want to say it wasn't dealer prepped at all, but they left certain elements pre-dealer prep on the car. Those are the production sequence numbers directly from the Ford plant.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool car.
Now off to that Eleanor. Show me. I just see it there. It's grey. It's the perfect color. Yeah. That's it. So how much does this one here resemble the actual movie car?
It's very close to being 100% correct. There's a couple things a little bit different. The movie car color in real life shows a little bit more greenish.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on screen, but in real life it shows a little more greenish, and they did that because of the way it showed up on screen. So this car compared to the original car color, it's a little bit brighter. We do things a little bit differently. Our gas cap is a little different, and really more just aesthetics. We just got more positive feedback on this type of gas cap versus the one that came on the movie car. But other than that, it's pretty accurate. The interior is completely different because we do a completely redone, upgraded interior with Recaro seats. Again, the movie car had somewhat factory-looking seats in it. But other than that, it's a pretty accurate representation of what the movie car will look like.
And this is your best build?
Yes,
that's currently available. That's finished.
Yes, the only other thing that you can do, if you go on our website, you can actually build your own Eleanor. And you'll get your price. You can pick the color. You can configure it just like you would a brand new car. You can pick the engine, the transmission, the interior options, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a couple of different engine options versus this one. This one is equipped with the 427 with fuel-injected stacks on it, which is personally my favorite, but we also offer a supercharged 750 horsepower Coyote option, which technically would be a little bit more expensive than this one. But this is a very, very well-optioned car, premium interior, all the fixings, sound deadening,
May
mini
I
tub.
open that?
Absolutely.
Check out this interior. Yep. When you talk resto mods, in a way, this is the ultimate, in my opinion.
I mean, it's absolutely a resto.
I like it. Absolutely. It's still classic, but it's all modern. Modern seats. It's got a screen on the center console there. It's got an old-style gear knob, old-style dashboard, old-style steering wheel, but everything has been modernized.
We offer this car with illuminated cup holders, and we offer this car with heated and ventilated seats. How many miles would you suppose somebody would drive their resto mod in a year? Let's say you owned a resto mod as part of your collection. How many miles would you guess you would drive it in a year?
1,000?
1,000. So if I were to tell you that my brother and I drove one of our Eleanors over 3,500 miles over the course of 7 days on the Hot Rod Power Tour, through back roads, highways, and it was absolutely an amazing experience.
Man, I'd say that would be a blast to drive.
It drove
because this
great.
looks so great. It looks awesome.
Right.
I love the way it looks.
It was comfortable. You know, because of the upgraded suspension, we were able to drive at 80 miles an hour on the freeway with 2 fingers on the wheel. We weren't fighting it. It just did everything right. These are power windows, even though they look old school retro. These are actually power windows. So it's got all the modern amenities: Bluetooth audio streaming, backup camera, vintage air with a Magnum compressor to keep you nice and cool. I mean, it just does everything right. I mean, it's absolutely an incredible car.
And horsepower?
The 427 puts out 560 horsepower and 520 pounds of torque. And that high torque just makes this thing a blast to drive. You know, with a manual transmission, you know, it's a relatively light car, about 3,400 pounds. Great car to drive. And of course, one of the things that separates us from other Eleanors that you may or may not see out on the market is all of our Eleanor body panels are 100% made out of carbon fiber. So this nose piece, this bottom, these wheel flares, all made out of carbon fiber. In fact, I can show you a little bit. If you look on the inside of the hood,
that's all
you can actually
carbon.
see we leave it exposed carbon. And we make all the carbon in-house. We design it, we build it, we install it, we do it all in-house. I mean, it's really a great build. And we do a couple other things that are kind of extra. We use oversized radiators. That's what we can drive at 3,500 miles in the summer, by the way. That power tour was in July in the Midwest. We're pushing temperatures of 100 degrees outside. And, you know, it wasn't without, you know, plenty of cars breaking down on the side of the road during the tour. You know, it was over 7,000 cars on this power tour, and plenty of cars breaking down and overheating on the side of the road. We didn't have a single problem. We opened up these vents here to let air flow through. An original Mustang, this is closed. We opened that up. You can see additional venting. If you look over there on the side, you can see additional openings we have to evacuate air out of there. But the other thing that's really unique about our car, we have a single connector for all the electrical, military-grade single connector on the firewall that we do in-house. That's why it's so clean. You don't see a bunch of wires everywhere. It's super, super clean.
Yeah, it is a clean setup.
Yeah, very, very cool car.
And now, what I have to say, my favorite car that you have here is this.
This is the winner.
This is it.
You know, you'd be hard
Something
to find
about
an
it.
argument out of most people. I mean, these are great, and you know, we have a lot of cars here, and that cater to a lot of different genres. But this particular car pretty much turns everyone's heads.
Yeah.
It's a really, really nice build. They look good. They drive
It's
well.
clean.
Super, super clean.
Love it. Well, Gil, thanks so much for today and the classic car tour.
Great having you.
Yeah,
really,
thanks.
Really great having you here.
We're going to have to get going now, but if you like classic cars, guys, make sure when you're here in LA, come and visit Gil at Fusion, because it's unbelievable. We've got an array of modern cars, and we've got some classic cars here. And these classic cars blow your minds away, believe me. But until then, subscribe on our channel for a lot more.